ESPN released their top 10 NBA players for the 2017-2018 season, right about the same time that Sports Illustrated released their top 10, all amongst their top 100. We've discussed in some form or another CJ McCollum, Carmelo Anthony, McCollum's reaction towards the ranks, and Carmelo Anthony being ranked behind Lonzo Ball in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. As for the top 10, and to keep it in the top 10, as I will always mention, rankings are stupid, tiers are better. Element number 4 is your 6 through 10.
Oh my God!
Wait a minute.
I have no problem with this list.
I don't either. I mean, Draymond is very debatable. I think Draymond
in regards to who?
I think Draymond's a top 15 player in the league. I think his value is tremendously, I would put is tremendously underappreciated because he plays on such a great team, because he plays in the Warriors. But I still would think I'd put like who have I put in the past? Like a John Wall or I said John Wall's like 11th, or like Karl Anthony Towns.
Okay, and I was hoping you'd say Karl Anthony Towns, and I don't know. The reason I put the Draymond Green in there is I think that he plays on a great team, but you take him off of that great team and they suffer tremendously.
They do.
Now, you take Karl Anthony Towns out of the Timberwolves, they're going to suffer tremendously as well. But
maybe not.
I think that it's an unfair comparison because when you look at it should be
rankings are bullshit.
Should be a tier system because Draymond Green, it was proven. Like the guy has been in 3 finals and he has been out for one of those 3 finals, and they have lost one of those 3 finals.
Well, hang on.
Because he's very, very valuable. I'm talking about to part of those games.
Hang on,
Richard.
He brought it upon himself for them to not win those finals.
I'm just saying the difference is.
So, I mean, he not only brought it on himself, he brought it on the team. I don't think he's a top 10 player.
We're talking about talent here. You're bringing in his attitude.
Do you think he's top 15? Top 20?
How is that even debatable?
Probably 15.
Top 20.
I don't think he's top 10.
I know, but how is it debatable to even think
Here's how I know this list is bullshit. Kyrie Irving is the 25th best player.
Okay.
Who's ahead of him?
But we're still talking about it because we're fucking stupid.
We're dumb.
We're giving into bullshit.
Let's give the top 10 tier list.
No, that's just you just tear him out.
We've
already done it.
Been a cap
Get an oxymoron.
People are upset though because they go like, well, here's the thing: when you do tiers, people are just going to argue who's going to be in each tier, and I go right, but then it's the point of why I like them is because it separates by groups. So to go from a, let's say, 4th tier to a 3rd tier means you're taking like a massive jump. Whereas rankings is like, well, number 10 compared to number 11, and people lose their mind. It goes, you're talking one spot, right? Yeah. You're not talking about jumping to a whole other level by being, well, Draymond Green's 10, John Wall's 11. I don't know if John Wall's 11, but John Wall's 11, like, he's getting robbed.
So let me ask you, would you take Porzingis over Draymond Green?
Oh my God, I don't think so just yet.
You would not? If you were starting a team right now, you wouldn't?
Here's the argument I would make. I don't know if I can build around Draymond Green to win a championship. I do know that if you were to use Porzingis the right way, you can put the pieces necessary around him to win. However, Draymond Green does he's actually a lot like what Tim Duncan would do for the Spurs. He would fill in every blank that was needed for every different day. So he's a guy that only scores 10 points a game, at least by statistics. So my point being, aside from the Tim Duncan analogy,
he's a Swiss Army knife player.
Absolutely. So aside from the points being scored, we can't undersell his defense. We can't undersell his ability to hit threes if you leave him wide open. I mean, he's not a great 3-point shooter, but he has that in his toolbox. He's a very strong rebounder. He can guard positions that nobody wants to guard. He'll take the LeBron position. He'll switch to Kyrie if he needs to. He'll take the positions that make up for Steph Curry's lack of one-on-one defense. He's physical. He's kind of a dirty player. There's no doubt about that, depending if you like him or not.
That's Steven Adams.
Yeah, true. But I feel like you guys might be suffering from the same criteria that you rank world football rankings in, where you're looking, it's an offensively heavy top 10 because that's the way it works. Always. So I feel like it's justified to have a Draymond Green in there because, his stats on the offensive side are not overwhelming, but his contribution to the team, his over-under of him being on the field, the over-under that Jason always wants to talk about, the over-under. Without him on the court, they are clearly a much inferior team. A team that I think could fall victim, even with Kevin Durant, to a Cleveland Cavaliers, because that guy, I think he's that essential to that team.
According to NBA 2K, Isaiah Thomas can get his head above the rim.
Interesting.
Right.
So
Amazing.
my opinion is, I think you might be getting caught up in the ranking system of where most top 10s are ranked, where it's like well, we got because everyone's so stat heavy now in the NBA. Like, I mean, point guards are falling to the back of the line if they'll not score first. Point guards. I mean, that's the way the game works because everyone wants to shoot threes after what Steph Curry's been doing. But from my standpoint is when you look at Draymond Green, I'm always looking at what is the team going to be like, an already stacked team without him, and I think that they definitely do fall down the list in regards to how defensively efficient now. Like, none of their players are that defensively good. He makes up a lot of ground.
Klay
Thompson is.
Kevin Durant is good.
Is good.
Yeah.
The rest, though, I can agree with. I'm not going to go out there and be like, McCaw is really good at defense.
Okay, did we go 5 through 1
No, we
yet?
didn't.
Okay, why don't we show that and then we'll come back to this.
Ooh!
Whoa!
Who did that?
That was sexy.
Who did? Show your face.
Show your face.
Show your face.
We don't have a camera in there.
Show your face! We're doing a camera.
Look
Look at that.
But he needs to switch. He needs to put the camera on himself, so it's not that.
Exactly.
It's not that effective.
I don't think there's a lot of.
Oh, look at the shirt as well.
Wow.
Batman, get out the cap.
The shirt's loudness makes up for his quietness.
Oh, Jacory's not quiet.
He is right now.
He's in the booth though.
Maybe.
He can speak for himself, by the way. He has a mic. Okay, all right, so roll it one more time, and then we'll go back to this.
Again, please. Jacory's like, shit, how'd I do it? No,
there we go.
One hit wonder. LeBron, Durant, Kawhi is your absolutely definitive.
It's amazing
top
that
three.
the MVP is Phil.
I know, but here's the thing. This is the 1 through 3. There is zero debate.
I agree with that.
That's the order that it should be.
Would you put
After
Russell
that-
4?
No. No, actually, I had James Harden, I think, above Russell Westbrook and Steph Curry in my own rankings.
James Harden above Russell Westbrook and Steph Curry.
I went. I think if I'm correct, I went Harden, Curry, Westbrook.
So,
Which again, people lose their minds over that, and they go
put them all
like,
in a tier.
My point, yeah, that's the
that's
point.
good.
Tier 1 was KD and LeBron James, and to be fair, it really should be tier 1 should be Kawhi Leonard. Tier 2 becomes Harden, Westbrook, Curry, which are all point guard heavy players, and then you're throwing in like Anthony Davis, I think, or something like that as like the 6th, and then tier 3 is pretty much like everybody ranked 7 through 20.
Right. Okay,
It's
so
a crowded tier.
I-
You don't have Paul George in your top 10. You don't know anything about basketball. That's usually what people say.
the biggest problem I have is just with Draymond. I just don't think Draymond is.
Draymond?
I don't think Draymond is a top 10 player, and it's nothing to take away from your point about he doesn't score, but yeah, he does so many other things. However, much like football, the name of the game is scoring. It's not about playing defense. It's about putting up points and how many points can you possibly outlast against your opponent. It's as simple as that. So even though Draymond can't hit like whatever percentage of his threes
He's a
that he
41%
takes.
overall shooter last year.
What were his threes? 41 from the field because he got a lot of lobs.
I know there was
and
one
dunks.
specific game where I got absolutely drilled
Battered
through
by
the
the
ringer
comments.
on a clip we were talking about Charles Barkley and Draymond Green, right? And how I think that Draymond Green has the ability to pull up and shoot threes if he had to going on one-on-one because he's got the ability to drop threes. I got ripped. The
Price
next
is right.
game,
Time for Price is Right.
the next
Oh, when he got
game
hot.
he dropped
All right.
4 out of his first 6 from 3.
Closest, we're doing Price is Right for everybody here. Closest, Draymond Green's 3-point shooting percentage, closest without going over last year.
Last year.
39.
37.
Jabari, anybody else? Anybody got a mic? Scream it out. Anybody? Anybody? You're both over by a shit ton.
29.
30.8.
I said 38.
But the year before he was 39. The other year before he was 39.
Whatever.
Oh, that's what I was thinking.
Was Jacory about to speak? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
All right, well, I mean,
Just giving them a tumbo.
I guess the defensive side of me is just to decide that I always vow for a Sergio Ramos or a
Who's 11th?
Thiago Silva to be in a top 10 list and amongst a stat-heavy offensive
It's
minded.
incomparable, in my opinion. It's incomparable to go from a center back who is so much more involved than a guy who runs pick and roll and hits 29% of his threes. Like they're an integral part of.
That's a nice word.
I'm sorry?
Integral is a good word.
Thank you. They're an integral part of the team philosophy that they have.
You don't think
of
Draymond
also
Green's an
playing deep.
integral part of the team
do.
philosophy of the Golden
I
State
do.
Warriors?
I think he's the 4th most important player on the team. Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson. Or excuse me,
Thompson?
not in that. I'm sorry, not in that order. But I still think he's the 4th most
I
important.
had Klay Thompson is more important to the Golden State Warriors than Draymond Green.
I disagree.
That
wholeheartedly.
yes,
Why?
so do I.
I think that
Because he can run-
I think that without Draymond Green, the Warriors lose a series in 7 games to last year's Cavaliers. Well,
I also think if you take any of the 4 off,
I think if you
they're not a balanced team as they are right now.
I agree with that, but I think without Clay,
they would not have beaten the Cavaliers. I disagree with that.
I think they would have. If
Klay Thompson was not there. And here's my point to that. He has also shown, Klay Thompson, that he's a Swiss Army knife defensively, where he could go up against Kyrie Irving and not dominate, but limit Kyrie Irving more so than other guys' hand.
Yes,
he also made Kevin Love look like a fucking fool when Kevin Love tried posting him up on the block, and he forced him into bad shot after bad shot after bad shot. And Tyronn Lue had to change his offensive philosophy of not attacking Klay Thompson on the pick and roll.
Tyronn Lue for changing something?
Lastly, he went up against LeBron whenever Kevin Durant needed a spell. So he is just as, not as good, but he is just as much of a Swiss Army knife defensively because he fills so many holes that Draymond specifically does, especially when they're going up against a Cleveland Cavaliers team who does what? Shoots threes. It had nothing to do with going up against Tristan Thompson, which would have been Draymond's somewhat strength. Instead, they had to pop out, which also benefits Klay Thompson.
I got to look at the numbers because I don't know how much different Draymond Green's 3-point usage was than Klay Thompson's, because Klay Thompson, we cannot undersell it, literally disappeared offensively for 3.5 weeks when it mattered most. And Klay Thompson also, as we've talked about yesterday on the show, is a one-dimensional
offensive player. But isn't Draymond?
Yes, but
alley-oops and threes.
No, here's the reason, because Draymond Green is the reason that Klay Thompson can get so many of those open looks from 3. Without Draymond Green, Klay Thompson can't get them as much. I somewhat
disagree. It's also Zaza Pachulia who's setting a lot of picks.
And JaVale McThree, who's coming next year, is also setting some of those too, because they do a high set double screen, which gets Klay open. So, look,
it's the same. Can't you make that similarity to Ray Allen though? That he's a very catch and shoot guy, and you just run offensive sets for him.
Because Ray Allen in his 10-year peak had so many tools to offensive game, and everyone forgets it because the end of his career he just became Jesus Shuttlesworth. He was just hitting his threes. If you go back to his Bucks and Supersonics days, watch what Ray Allen was to do. Actually, there's a lot of Ray Allen's finishing was a lot like Steph Curry's now. They finished in a similar way.
Ray was dunking on people though when he was with the Bucks.
A lot of touch. I think that the core 4 of those players are what make the Warriors great. I think we all agree with that.
I agree.
I think that taking any one off of them significantly weakens them altogether. I think the argument over which one is all hypothetical. The only one we have somewhat evidence for, although because it wasn't with Kevin Durant, is when Draymond got himself suspended for that 5th game. We saw something there. Klay's offense did disappear, but they still were able to win the series 4-1. So I think well, I'm gonna let the comments decide. In case anybody was interested though, Jimmy Butler, number 11. Karl Anthony Towns, number 12. Paul George, number 13. Number 14, Rudy Gobert. John Wall, 15.
Up to Gobert, I would take all of them over Draymond Green. All of them.
I would not take Paul George over Draymond Green.
He is
no chance.
Is this not a league right now built on big small forwards and lengthy small forwards who can shoot and play defense?
Hold on.
Why was he defensive player of the year then if he's not that valuable to
This is important.
I agree. He's valuable defensively.
There's a difference between ranking players 1 through 10, 1 through 15, 1 through 20, and starting your franchise with a player.
Don't you realize what we're doing? We're giving into ESPN right now by arguing about this.
There's nobody in their right mind who is taking Draymond Green with one of their top 10 picks to start a franchise.
Correct.
There's actually probably about 40 players you're taking above him. Now, when you start asking about the complementary pieces who makes everybody around him better, he's probably right at the top of that discussion.
Would you take Gobert over Draymond if you were starting a franchise?
Don't undersell Gobert's defense.
I'm not underselling. I'm just
not
asking.
You. I'm just saying in general. I would take Draymond Green over Gobert.
Don't you dare undersell his defense. No one mentioned.
I'm talking to air. Look, that's why I'm looking. I'm looking at Biker Man. I'm looking at Dave Kohler on the bike. That's Dave Kohler, right?
Yeah.
Is that Dave Kohler?
All right. Well, I think that I think you made valid points on why you would take Klay Thompson over, but I still think that it's one of the most absurd things that I have heard in the show that you would take all of those 5 above. You don't think he's top 15? Things. One of the most absurd.
The most absurd.
That Draymond Green is not in your top 15.
I thought Frank Kaminsky was French.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. But this is takes. Yeah, Jason thought that Frank Kaminsky.
Not even thought. I was confident.
We saw it's Jacory is one of his favorite moments in TOT sports history where Jason went, yeah, well he's French anyway, and then we all stopped and went,
what?
110%.
What? How the fuck could you think that?
I've never seen a map before.
Iski.
I've never seen.
Have you ever heard him talk before?
No, I just never seen him.
He only went to a Final Four.
Wisconsin Badgers fan. He went to 2, didn't he?
He did go to 2.
Yeah, no, but even that, even though he is American, we know that. I'm talking about even if he thought like his name had their origins as
Polish.
a Frenchman.
But is it really Polish?
I understand how he thought it though.
But is it really
like,
Polish? Does anybody really believe
Ribéry.
that?
That's exactly the comparison I used. I used Ribéry as a comparison. I was like, yeah, Frank Ribéry, Frank Kaminsky.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard from you, Jason.
It was great. It was great. And then Chikori like just definitely addressed the elephant in the room because I was just gonna let it go, and then he's like, wait.
Yeah.
Did you just say Frank Kaminsky was a Polish name?
Good for you.
I want to see his birth certificate. Okay?
The birther theory is coming to TYT Sports.
I'm bringing conservative birther theory to TYT Sports.